Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 has just been released, to the surprise of many Bloodstained and Castlevania fans. The sequel to the original Curse of the Moon, released in 2018 as the 8-bit retro companion to last year's Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Curse of the Moon 2 continues the quest of demon hunter Zangetsu and friends as they fight to defeat the hordes of the underworld. The games borrow heavily from NES Castlevania titles, particularly Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, in their gameplay style and act as a homage to the classic titles of the Castlevania series, as Ritual of the Night does for the Metroidvania titles. I never did a run-through video of the Castlevania Easter eggs and references found in the first Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, so with the sequel now released, I figured I'd go through the Easter eggs and connections found in both games. We'll skip over the obvious things like character, enemy, and boss similarities for the sake of brevity.
Night Stalkers, you better beware. I'm out to get ya, 'cause I know you're out there. Everyone's afraid to walk the streets because of you.
I'm especially looking at you, Card. And, of course, potential spoilers for the game's modes and endings. It's no surprise that Castlevania loves its endings, showing the Belmonts or other assorted heroes standing on a cliff, watching triumphantly as Dracula's castle crumbles in the background. Bloodstained was not going to deny fans that shot of nostalgia, with both Curse of the Moon and its sequel showing various endings, all including a victorious, or equally bittersweet, or even in some cases downright defeated, shot of the group on a mountainside watching the demon castle from afar. Slightly less obvious than similarities or outright copy-pastes of characters between Castlevania and Curse of the Moon are the sub-weapons. Sure, Miriam has her whip as a main weapon that basically makes her a Belmont, but Zangetsu's chain whip sub-weapon is also a standout for its nod to the diagonal whip of Super Castlevania 4, as is Dominique's spear pole vault that harkens back to Eric Lacard of Castlevania Bloodlines. And, yes, Card. I said I'd skip over boss similarities, but the Andralphus boss fight in Stage 5 of Curse of the Moon is too blatant to not make a special mention of. It's less of an Easter egg and more of a blatant rip-off of the death fight from Castlevania Rondo of Blood, right down to the fight happening atop the ship's mast. Also, shout out to the insta-death portraits earlier in the same stage, and later the final level of the game, that also rip off Rondos. Seems Igarashi wanted to continue Konami's tradition of sneaking moe heads into their old-school games. In Stage 6 of Curse of the Moon 2, the stage is littered with moe head iconography and even enemies. Moe heads have appeared in several Castlevania games, starting with the first game on the NES as a secret collectible, as well as other Konami games such as Gradius. In Castlevania Rondo of Blood, bosses often had what became known later as desperation attacks, where after a boss's life bar was depleted, it would perform one last dying attack animation before expiring. These attacks would not kill you, but were neat looking and would often offer an extra bit of scare for the players on their last life bar. Both in Curse of the Moon and Curse of the Moon 2, all bosses seem to have taken after their Rondo cousins and performed desperation attacks at the end of their life bars, often in spectacular displays. These are a few of the Castlevania references and Easter eggs you can find in the retro action gameplay of both Curse of the Moon titles, more meant to highlight some of the less obvious nods to Konami's Vampire Hunter series that those who hadn't played Castlevania games prior to Bloodstained might not have known about. I'm sure I missed a few obscure ones, so feel free to give them a shout out in the comments. Also, hit the subscribe button for future Castlevania and Bloodstained content, and thanks for watching.